You're listening to Kizuki, the podcast. I'm Mae Yoshikawa, and I define the Japanese concept of Kizuki as the following. Kizuki. 1. A moment of epiphany, an aha of realization or insight which opens the knower to a new dimension of truth that was formerly unknown. 2. Steps in an incremental growth of awareness, resulting in a movement from ignorance to greater awareness of the bigger picture. A kind of knowing that cannot be undone, that cannot be unrealized. As a longtime yoga and meditation practitioner, a world traveler, and curious self-explorer, I'm obsessed with Kizukis. Listen on each week for inspiring and enlightening stories that may just tip you over for your next aha. On this week's episode, not letting it mean anything. There are days that look ordinary from the outside, but they quietly serve to integrate the change that you've been choosing for yourself. Today was one of those days for me. Nothing was technically wrong. I woke up early, like in the still dark hours, partly from excitement, partly from nerves. My sleep was so chopped. My body felt tired and off, probably a hormonal phase. I was also really hungry, felt interrupted, and slower than usual in getting back into myself. In the past, a day like today might have felt dangerous. Not because of what happened, but because of the way I would have interpreted it for myself. I might have easily turned this low energy into a bummer, a personal failure, slowness, into laziness, or even a judgment against my productivity, as if that was the primary measure of the meaning of my day. I might have thought that the discomfort meant that something needed fixing, and that something was me. But today, it was different. I noticed the dip, and I didn't slide down with it. I didn't let that mean anything. That sentence came to me almost casually, but it stopped me when I caught it within myself, because that meant that I wasn't in this self-control mode, that I wasn't self-judging. In other words, I was self-trusting. Because self-control says, hold it together, don't dip, or else. But self-trust says, I know who I am even on days like this. And that's when I realized something really important. I'm no longer organizing my life around self-correction. And oh my God, that's a huge one for me, because for a long time, self-improvement has been my go-to. It's been my basic operating system. If I could optimize myself enough, be calmer, clearer, more disciplined, more evolved, then I'd be okay. Then life could feel doable. That mindset can look healthy. It often gets praised, and obviously there's an entire market that sells it. But underneath it, I now understand we need to watch out that vigilance in trying to catch yourself for self-correction doesn't turn into a form of quiet, chronic violence against the self. Because no one likes to be scrutinized, and it doesn't serve you either. Because the underlying assumption under such scrutiny is always this: who you are right now is not enough, so you better get to work, right? So every little off day can become evidence of that, Every dip becomes a threat or something to fix. Every pause, rest, needs a justification. I see this so much in my students and members of my community, and I know I've had it in me for a long time too. What changed today for me wasn't just my energy. It was an expression of my identity shift. My body dipped, but my sense of self didn't go with it. I just didn't interpret the dip as a risk. That wasn't the meaning I assigned to it, nor did I rush to extract any meaning from it. I just let it be what it is, a little dip day. It just wasn't anything to be held against myself. I simply let it pass through. I'm beginning to think that's what growing out of self-improvement actually looks like. Not apathy, not giving up, not lowering standards, just having a wider stride of allowance so that you don't treat yourself like you're some problem to solve. Recently, I've also noticed something else. I found myself in a room full of very capable, driven, high-performing energy, and instead of feeling wowed or inspired, I felt done. Not judgmental, just that I was on a different page. And that was a Kizuki moment for me, because those environments used to fuel me. They ran on proving, gripping, making it happen, optimizing your way into worth. I would have dove in and let the competitiveness run me. And I realized that engine doesn't power me anymore. Not because ambition is wrong. For sure, ambition has its place. But for me, I know now that any ambition that has anything to do with self-distrust or self-correction is exhausting. So the real question is, what's replacing the old dogged effort way for me? To be honest, I'm still figuring that out as I go, just letting it unfold. But for now, I know that instead of forcing myself forward through pressure, I'm noticing what my system naturally responds to without bracing for impact or competition. Instead of asking, how do I improve this version of me? I'm asking today, what feels steady, honest, and sustainable to move from? What feels in flow? I just don't want to push through a nervous system that's running on fumes anymore. I've learned it just doesn't last. And I'm learning that there is another way when your body doesn't need to be convinced to move forward. When movement doesn't require self-threat. I know this. Effort that's fueled by fear feels tight and constricted in the body. Effort that's fueled by trust, self-trust, feels clean and sustainable. And so today showed me that something fundamental is shifting. I didn't replace self-criticism with forced gratitude or perform positivity. I didn't try to turn the day into a lesson. I just stayed with myself through a minor dip and just didn't let it mean anything. That's not collapse. That's regulation. It's spacious, neutral, and calm. The kind of state where life can meet you without you needing to micromanage everything. And I guess that's why there's no neat conclusion for me yet. I'm between operating systems, and I'm finding increasing comfort in what would have formerly been uncomfortable. The old one, self-scrutiny disguised as growth is clearly obsolete. The new one isn't about effort, at least not for the sake of effort. It's about relationship with self and reality, meeting each moment in presence. And I'm learning that that puts me in flow. If I zoom out, the pattern is clear. I'm no longer willing to hurt myself in the name of becoming better. So I'll leave you with this, not as a takeaway to nail down today, but as a place to sit with tonight or sometime this week. When you stop trying to improve yourself, what starts to show up instead? What changes when you let yourself be met as you are, rather than be managed into place? No need to answer it perfectly. Just notice what keeps appearing in you and see what comes up when you're not at war with who you are. That noticing, yes, that's the gem. That's where the real integration happens.
Thank you for listening. If you missed the recent Kizuki Journaling online session, the on-demand replay is now available at maey.live under On Demand. And if you'd like to be the first to know when the next live session opens, you can sign up for my weekly newsletter at the bottom of maey.live or kizukijournaling.com.